He has it.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to St. John's employee meeting. This is Alan here. I'm the president of St. John's Community Services. And all that just happened was my fault. So we had a major problem when I hit the end stream button, and that killed the entire feed, and we had to reset the feed and the link and send that out. So hopefully you are just joining us now. I see that we're up to 18 people, or 15 people rather. That's great. And we'll see a few more join once they follow the instructions. So we are coming to you live from Tennessee. So we're really excited. George and I came in to Tennessee on Monday, and we spent the last couple of days kind of going all around Tennessee, visiting the different sites, talking to the staff here and to the regional directors who you're going to get to meet in a little bit and learn more about. I'm just going to pause right here. How are we doing in terms of other people joining? Oh, we got a lag on. That's okay. I know, that would be great. I see that we have 12. We're up to 14, so people are starting to find the way. Do we need to put this on Therap too?
I can't do it. Let me go.
All right. Okay.
That's what I see.
All right, so we're back up to 15. More people are joining us. So again, my apologies for our technical issues at the beginning. Let's get started. And I just want to go through a couple things. So the first thing I want to do is just update everybody, kind of stepping off from our last employee meeting, which was, I think, last September, October. It was October because it was Halloween, if I remember, right around that. I have a bunch of people here in the room that I'm looking at as well. So last time I was in front of you, I spoke to you about the challenges that St. John's was facing from a finance standpoint. And I was talking about how changes would be coming and that we would need to be doing some restructuring throughout the whole organization. I'm happy to say that we've gone through a lot of that and we are doing better than where we were. So if we look at our financial position now, in the end of January, it's actually probably the strongest financial position we've had since I've been here over the last 2 years. So what that means practically is before, cash was a major issue for us. So liquidity was an issue and making sure that we had enough cash to make payroll and pay our bills and our other obligations. And so we were always managing that very tightly. Sherry Harrison and the accounting team up in DC have done a phenomenal job with the state directors as well as the regional directors here in Tennessee and the state directors across the other states at really trying to make sure that we're getting every dollar that we're owed from the work that you all are doing and the hard work that you're doing. And so that's improved dramatically, and we're seeing higher revenues come in as a result. And at the same time, we went through the restructuring and did a lot of consolidation of positions across different states. That was very difficult to go through. I know it was hard to say goodbye to some people that we had worked with for quite some time, but we are in a better financial position as a result of decreasing our expenses. So where that leaves me is I'm cautiously optimistic. So, I don't know if we are completely out of the woods. I don't know if there isn't further changes that will have to happen. The reality is in today's world, you always have to be in a state of change and adapting to your surroundings and different conditions that change around you. And but I can tell you that we're working very closely as a leadership team to try to maintain our solid position. We're still going to be looking at managing things like overtime very tightly. We still want to be looking at our expenses and making sure that they're essential. And we're still wanting to make sure that we provide the very best services and support to the people that we support, because that's what our mission is. But right now we are in decent shape. And I just want to thank you all for your patience, working through all that. Thank you for managing the changes that we've had. And I will do my best to keep you posted and keep you updated as we move forward. But I just want to say a big thank you to all of you, to the leadership team, as well as to the regional directors here in Tennessee, because I know change is hard. Change is always difficult. And at the same time, it's necessary. And so we've gone through that period. We're evaluating kind of where we stand right now. And then I'm going to continue to move forward. So let me just pause there. I see a bunch of people have joined us. So for the folks that are just clicking on the new link, apologies for our late start. I accidentally ended our feed and had to cause us to send out a new link. So I appreciate your patience as we try to do this. You've joined our second ever quarterly employee meeting, and we are broadcasting to you live from Tennessee, where George and I have been for the last couple of days and just touring around the different sites and talking to the different regional directors and the staff here in Tennessee. And yesterday we went out to Harlan Morris, the retirement home, had a good tour there, got to see our residents there, and you'll hear a little bit more about that program in a little while. As you know, this is our effort to really try to shrink our organization. We're in multiple states. There's close to 900 to 1,000, between 900 and 1,000 employees at any point in time. And it can be challenging to feel connected to everybody. And so our goal is to rotate this employee meeting on a quarterly basis and be able to give you updates on what's happening here at St. John's, introduce you to your teammates in other states, and hear about the work that's happening elsewhere across the organization. So I hope that you find this to be a valuable time. And if you have questions at any point in time, because we'll be pausing along the way to kind of check in and try to answer any questions, feel free to either email those questions to Sandra White at swhite@sjcs.org, or you can also text them in the live chat section of our YouTube channel. So, all right. So, and meanwhile, I'm getting a phone call, which I will not take. So let me tell you a little bit about some exciting things, because we've had some challenging times, and challenges are always going to be present. We'll always try to overcome those by working together. But let me tell you about some exciting things that have happened and are happening so that you know. First of all, I want to congratulate our New York team in Ithaca, New York, because they just crossed over their 1-year anniversary back in November for operating the emergency shelter and day center in Ithaca, New York. And so that's a huge deal. They literally have helped shelter hundreds, if not thousands of people during that time. They've provided meals and food for people that are hungry. They've provided a safe and warm environment for people to be able to come in out of the cold, out of the elements, and connect with case managers and learn about how they can access resources in the community that can help them. They've done phenomenal work. At the height of the coldest point in winter last year, they were able to help coordinate and provide shelter for, I believe it was close to 130 to 140 people, which is absolutely remarkable. So they're doing a great job, and we want to congratulate them for their work. And because of their work in Ithaca, as well as networking that's taking place in DC, our team saw an opportunity and heard about an opportunity to get involved with youth homelessness in the District of Columbia and started attending some meetings. Particularly Quadria took this up as a cause of hers and started attending these meetings and building relationships, and found out that there was opportunity, there was going to be new funding available to be able to provide homeless services for youth ages 18 to 24 and provide wraparound support. And so essentially what that would mean is we would work with a youth between 18 and 24, help them find an apartment, get that apartment in their name, and then we would provide support to help them access different resources in the community that they need to be able to live their best life and live independently. And so we wrote for this contracting grant. We were awarded that. We got news of that, I think, late summer, early fall. And soon, I believe in February, we're going to be launching what we're calling the OASIS program. And so we will be providing these services to 10 individuals, 10 youth ages 18 to 24 that are at risk of sexual exploitation while they're out on the street, that are at risk of abuse and neglect, that really have been rejected by a lot of people, including oftentimes their family members, because many of them are from the LGBTQ community. And so when they come out, a lot of times they get rejected by their families and end up homeless and out on the street. And once they're homeless, they're couch surfing, they're put into really terrible circumstances. And so this is a much needed program in the district. And it's a great opportunity for St. John's to bring our core competency of providing radical support to people and be able to help these individuals start pulling their lives back together, overcome the trauma that they've experienced, and be able to have new opportunity and success in their life. So more to come on that, but we are incredibly excited about that program. John Jackson is the program director of that and taking this huge initiative on. And even though it's 10 beds and 10 people and may not be a massive program yet, we believe that it's a great opportunity for us to get our name out there in homeless services in the district, to be able to join in the effort to end homelessness in the district, and over time to kind of really blast that door open and maybe grow those services and serve even more people. So be on the lookout for more information about the OASIS program, but super excited that that is taking off and is happening very soon. And then in a little bit, you'll hear more about Harlan Morris, the retirement home, but they are also coming up on their 1-year anniversary. We took over operation of that. I guess we started helping to manage it last March of 2019, and then officially took over the beginning of May. And it's a retirement community for elderly people in Trenton, Tennessee, and the surrounding communities and counties. And they're coming up on their 1-year anniversary. And I'm not going to say too much about this program because you'll hear from Amanda a little bit, but that's really, really exciting. So, George, did I cover everything that we talked about? I think we still want to talk a little bit about what's going on. We are also, from a new initiative standpoint, you've heard about some transition possibly in our development team and our marketing team with Lindsay moving on. She was successful. We should congratulate her for getting her new job, but getting on a different path in terms of her career. But it means change at our home office. And so we're in the process of recruiting and hiring a grant writer, as well as we've engaged with an organization called Thread Strategies that is going to help us start building out our development department. And so they'll look at the positions and people that we need. They'll look at the different systems that we need, tools that we need, and processes that we need to have in place in order to successfully start building our fundraising program. The reason why we've taken this on as an initiative is that the reality is the margins for the Medicaid funded work that we do, which is almost 94%, 95% of our funding, are just so tight and so slim and so difficult. And you all know this from your daily experiences providing the work and doing the work and providing the support. And so we really need to look at other ways to bring funding into St. John's. And so one way to do that is by building out our fundraising strategy and fundraising program. And so the way I look at this is something that is a long-term investment, a sustained investment over time. I view it as we're going to become farmers for a while. These are seeds that we plant, and we hope that over time, over the next 1 year, 18 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, that those relationships grow and that we find people that have a passion for the work of St. John's and view us as their way to give back and support the community and help change lives. And so we're excited to be getting on this path formally. We are excited to be working with Thread Strategies. It will take time, but we're excited to get that off the ground. And that dovetails in with our work on trying to be more publicly facing and engaging the communities that we are in. Last year, we did a number of successful special events in multiple states. And this year, we have plans and we're developing plans to try to repeat some of those events and then do more. And this is all part of our strategy of trying to engage the community, because the reality is we have a great mission. You know, we are advancing inclusive communities. We are helping to support people in living their best life. We are helping them realize their rights as individuals and be able to live independently into the very best life that they can. And a lot of people love that mission. And so we need to get in front of those individuals, tell those stories, and create opportunities for them to engage. And so special events are a good way to do that. And then communicating through different channels, social media, through email, all those things are other ways that we can build relationships and connect with people over time. So those are just some of the new initiatives that are underway. We are also always looking for new opportunities. And so even here in Tennessee as well, Ryan recently helped us join the Continuum of Care, which specifically focuses on homeless services in the communities here in Tennessee, as well as affordable housing. And so we're doing, if you will, a needs assessment, we're doing this in multiple states, multiple communities, trying to find out what are the needs of those communities where we're serving, and where might we be able to provide more support and services. And so we're always looking at how we can be of service to the communities that we have a presence in. So more to come on that as we realize those opportunities and as we apply for different contracts and grants, but we're really excited to be at these tables. All right, so at this point in time, I want to bring in our Deputy CEO, George Liakopoulos, and he's got some exciting news to share with everyone. And George, welcome to our employee meeting.
Hey, thank you. Morning, everybody. Do want to share a little bit of good news. most of you probably know or probably engaged with the accreditation review we went through in November and December of 2019 through an organization called CARF. CARF used to stand for the Commission on the Accreditation and Rehabilitation Facilities. Now it just goes by CARF because they do a lot more than just rehabilitation facilities. It's an internationally recognized body, one of the leading accreditation agencies in our field. It has been doing accreditations, I think, back into as late back as the 1960s. We've been going through CARF accreditation since 2001. CARF brings together thousands of standards related to quality of service, from how you provide care to individuals, to how you document the services that you provide, to how you support communities. For us, there were 1,200 standards that they applied. The accreditation review involved a team of CARF reviewers going out to the field in Delaware, Tennessee, District of Columbia, and Virginia. They looked at all of our services. They spent time in the field, in the homes, at employment sites, community volunteer sites where we're engaged. They spent time going through our records. They spent time talking with the individuals we support. They spent time talking with staff. And through all that, took a look at how well we conform to those 1,200 standards. They did the exits in December, and we just now got official news just a couple of weeks ago that in all 4 states where we went through the accreditation survey, we received the highest level of accreditation, which is 3 years. It's a tremendous tribute to everybody in the organization. It upholds a long tradition that we have. Again, this goes back to 2001 for us. But one of the really wonderful things was how they called out in every state why or some of the key reasons why we received that level of accreditation. They spoke to us as being a progressive quality organization with our roots in the community, really continually taking the pulse of the community and what the needs are and being responsive to that. They talked about the quality of our staff, the attributes that they bring to the job every day, their commitment to the support of the individuals that we serve, to the nature of the relationships between our staff and the individuals that they support. I spoke very highly of that. They spoke about how well we engage people in community life to really support them to live their best life, through work, through volunteers, and through building relationships. They really said that we walk the talk, that we are one of the more community-oriented organizations that they have seen across the U.S. and Canada, where they primarily focus their accreditation. So it's a tremendous tribute. One last thing too. Part of the review, they reach out to different stakeholders in the community leaders, employers, government agencies, funders, and they spoke about how highly all those individuals speak about us and the work that we do. So, a tremendous shout out to everyone for all the great work that you do. You should feel really proud about this, and we will do our best to kind of market this and continue to uphold the wonderful tradition and legacy that we have of good quality services. So thank you for your role in all of this.
That's awesome.
All right.
George, thank you for sharing that. Come on back in here for a second. So this is something that happens every few years, right? And it's just a major undertaking. Can you really give people a sense of just how many, not hours, but the kind of lift that goes into making this happen?
Yeah, it is very, very labor intensive. We start gearing up for this about a year in advance. About 7 to 8 months out, we do our own internal CARF review to take a look at how well we conform to those standards, where we may need to make changes before the accreditation teams come in. And then for months, staff in all the states, make sure they spruce up the homes. They make sure that we get all of our documentation together. We put together what's called evidence books so that, CARF can take a look at our evidence, our support of how we conform to the various standards. So there are dozens and dozens of people in every state that over a period of 5 to 6 months are really actively engaged in getting us ready for this. So
that's awesome. And the fact that we are it's only a handful of organizations that really successfully get the level of accreditation that we've been able to get.
Correct. And to be able to sustain it for as many years as we have, it's a tremendous tribute. Everyone should really feel good about it.
So I just want to say thank you to all of you, because you're making this happen, right? Like, you do this every day in, day out. And this accreditation really is a reflection of the excellence how you approach the job and how you approach the support of the individuals that we care and support. So thank you so much for doing it. It's well done. Congratulations to all of you. It's just amazing to have landed this kind of level of accreditation. So thank
really
you
good.
for all of your hard work on that. I'm going to kind of go a little bit off script here or move the agenda around a little bit. We are going to attempt at some point in time, I think we're going to do this towards the end, do some staff highlights and shout outs, but that also will require some people to call in. So I just want to make sure that that's working before we do that. But I do want to introduce you. I'm going to introduce you to our team that's here in Tennessee so that you can learn a little bit more about them and what they do. But before I do that, I want to introduce you to a board member. So Ev, if you would kind of come on up here. So we'll bring you right into the shot here. So, so Ev Robertson is a board member. He has been on the St. John's board for a number of years.
15 to 16.
15 or 16 years. How did you get connected in the first place to St. John's Community Services here in Tennessee?
A former director who had formerly worked for me, who was then working for St. John's as director, asked me to come and possibly serve on the board.
Okay.
So I guess for that person we came full circle.
Okay.
And I ended up serving here on the board and then ultimately becoming chair of the board.
Okay.
15, 16 years. Time when you're having fun, time passes fast.
That's right. Because you just re-upped for another 3 years.
Yeah, I did.
I did. We just hooked them again. And give me a sense of, first of all, you're from Tennessee. You live here in Tennessee. Whereabouts do you live in Tennessee?
I live in a little place called Whiteville, Tennessee.
Okay.
It's in rural West Tennessee. I live on a farm. Farm's been in my family since 1886.
Wow.
But my background is in behavioral administration.
That's right.
I'm a former superintendent of psychiatric hospital and also a former commissioner of the mental health services in the state of Tennessee. So
And you were recognized recently. You were recognized last year, if I remember correctly, by the state
yes,
for your contributions at that level. So congratulations for that.
Thank you very
And
much.
we're blessed to have you as part of the St. John's team. It's been really neat because one of the things I really love about St. John's is even though we provide services in different states, we try to make sure that we have representation on the parent board from the various states that we're involved with. And so it's important because Tennessee's our second largest operation, if you will, here at St. John's Community Services. So to have a voice like Ev's as an advocate for Tennessee specifically, I think is really important. And so I appreciate the fact that you did re-up and recommit to another 3-year term, and it's great to have you on the board. Anything you would want to share with the team? You've got everybody from across the different states, and people will see this later as a recording, but anything you would want to share?
yeah, well, let me just say first, good morning to everybody. And certainly it has been, it's been a joy to serve on this board and to see the kinds of things that have happened. You know, it started out as a very small entity as far as services in the state. And in my role as board member, I played a part with the merger of CDS.
Right.
And that was an interesting time,
Right.
a trying time, but yet it proved to be very successful. And as a result, the services of St. John's has continued to grow, multiply. I guess the things that I have been able to see and have been appreciative of has been how with trying financial times, expansion of services have continued to take place.
Yeah.
And now St. John's is serving a diverse population, going from the retirement community to the homeless and you know, not just the intellectually disabled, but multiple types of individuals are now being served through this particular effort. So I think that this speaks to how visionary this particular organization is as it tries to meet the needs of the total populations within our particular areas. So with that being said, I see this as being progressive. I see St. John's as being a progressive organization, and certainly I've enjoyed being a part of that. And I want to just simply applaud also the leadership of St. John's, you, George, and others for thinking out of the box as we go forward and trying to meet the total mission. So I think this is an exciting time. I know it has been trying,
Yeah, sure.
but still, I think that this is something that's challenging, and certainly the populations that are being served are better off as a result of it.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate your leadership with St. John's Community Service. And thank you for coming today. It was
Thank
really nice to have you here. So thank you very much. I just want to piggyback off of something that Ev said. You know, one thing about St. John's, it's in our DNA to change and adapt. You know, it has been for 150 years. It's one of the things that's remarkable to me about this organization is there's been periods along the way where they've stopped and paused, looked at a need, and then changed and adapted as an organization to meet that need. And so that's a great reminder that what's going on today is part of what has gone on through our entire history is changing and adapting to better meet the needs of the community and be able to move forward together as an organization. And that those changes also make us stronger in a lot of different ways. And so that's exciting to kind of be reinforced by Ev. So thank you for that, Ev. Would like to introduce you to the regional directors here. So if I could get the regional directors to come on up and we'll just kind of all gather around and we'll try to fit in just so you can see some folks here. So these are the regional directors that essentially are making the services here in Tennessee possible in the different locations. So I'll kind of let you introduce yourselves in kind of the specific area that you're over. And then a couple of them are going to share a little bit more in detail about the work here in Tennessee. So I'll start to my left here.
Okay, good morning. I'm Amanda Newell. I am the regional director over the Jackson and Trenton locations. And I also oversee Harlan Morris Retirement Home.
Hey everybody, I'm Ryan Temple. I'm the regional director out of Bartlett, Memphis. I oversee the Bartlett, Memphis operation. A big shout out to my team that is in Bartlett, Memphis right now, my office ladies.
Hey.
And all my Memphis and Bartlett staff.
Good morning. My name is Dwayne Webb. I am the regional director for Martin and Paris. I oversee the day and employment operations for those two locations.
And I'm Cherry Webb. I'm the regional director. I'm from Martin and Paris, the residential homes, supported living, and personal assistance homes.
Awesome, great, thank you. And I appreciate all of you being here, you traveled to get here in different places. Dwayne, can you kind of step up for a second? And I asked Dwayne if he would give kind of a high level overview of the services here in Tennessee, just so everyone can get a sense of size and the types of service lines and what they do here. So have at it.
For those that are not familiar with our operations here in Tennessee, we do serve a very vast geographical area. We have offices in 5 different locations. We have offices in Shelby County, in the Bartlett area. We have offices here in Madison County with Jackson, Paris, Martin, and Trenton, which is in the Gibson County area. And out of those offices, we are able to provide a vast array of different services to the individuals that we are working with. We provide services, traditional services to the DIDD population in regards to residential, PA, employment, day services. But in Tennessee in 2016 became a managed care state. So we actually expanded our services to now begin to provide services to individuals through the ECF Choices program. We also have a memo of understanding with Tennessee Voc Rehab Services to offer VR services to additional individuals who may be veterans of war, may be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorders, et cetera. So we've really been able to expand and grow our operations here collectively as Tennessee. And as mentioned earlier, Ryan has worked with trying to get established with the Shelby County homeless aspects of things. We are also working to get more established in the Martin and Paris area and Jackson area by working with the COCs from the Jackson location that extends their services up in our neck of the woods as well. So, growth and, diversification is key to St. John's survival, and we are on a fast track to make that happen.
And just a couple of things. So if you haven't been to Tennessee before, you're probably thinking when you think Tennessee, because this is what I thought. It was first, it would be warm. Yeah. And it's not always warm here, is what I've discovered.
Wait till July.
It's a little chilly. But the other thing is you also think of Nashville, right? So a lot of times people think Tennessee, think Nashville. So we are on the western part of the state, right? So if you geographically can picture Tennessee, you're thinking kind of left of the state, in some pretty rural areas too.
Very much so.
And so we're providing some really vital services in underserved communities by being there and being present.
Very much so. It is a different aspect of service delivery when you are having to do that in rural areas. Transportation plays a big barrier to providing services to individuals in those areas. Luckily, we have a fleet of vehicles that we can do that. But a lot of the areas that we do provide services with, at best may have a post office or a quick stop to drive through, but there are several individuals there that need services and get services. We actually, in the Martin and Paris location, we go out and pick up individuals in the community that live at home with their families, where a majority of our other locations, those individuals are in our care 24/7. But we are very diverse. You know, we have our larger constituents in DC and Virginia and other locations that are more metropolitan. But when you come here, it's not that case. Our Memphis location is kind of that way, but for the most part, as you start to venture down to Jackson and the smaller offices that we provide services for, it's very rural, and there's not a lot of services to be had. And we are one of the few providers up in these areas that are offering those services.
So, and even though we're in kind of some of the smaller towns in the state, even on the western side, the size of what we're doing here is pretty substantial.
Oh.
Can you give us a sense of just the number of people that
Very
we
much
support here,
Very
and
much
maybe
so.
what kind of service lines we do that in?
Out of all of our offices that we operate here in the state of Tennessee, we're currently providing services to 152 individuals. And from that, we employ 291 staff members who diligently go out every day and provide those great services to those individuals. When you start to look at a breakdown of that from the service platforms that we operate under, we're probably running around 109 individuals that we provide services for residentially, 138 in the day programs, and roughly around 55 in employment. And that doesn't take into consideration what we're doing on a bigger scale with the Employment Community First Choices waiver or the outreach efforts that we do with Tennessee Voc Rehab. But, you know, and to kind of put it in context, that's pretty much what we're serving here in the Tennessee state.
That's awesome. I mean, that's amazing, especially when you consider that each city is really almost an hour from the next one, right?
Very
so
much,
you come
yes.
into Memphis, Bartlett's right there, but then you're going west and north a little bit, and each one is about an hour. So to be doing it that scale in those communities is really substantial.
You know, and it's really, that's part of our dynamic here. We are so spread out, but we work so well collectively as a unit in all locations. If anybody needs anything, we're collectively coming together and making sure that happens with whatever project we're working on or whatever issue we might be facing. And, you know, I think, you know, even though we're far apart, we're still close together as one unit.
Yeah, cool. Couple quick highlights.
Sure. We've got a couple of great things going on in all the different areas. I'm going to start off with the Jackson location. Jackson has a individual by the name of Miss Ginger Dotson that was selected to be a DIDD person-centered trainer. And Miss Dotson just conducted her first 2-day person-centered training event at the Jackson Regional Office for DIDD. It was a huge success, and it was also featured on the DIDD Facebook webpage. So have a chance, go look that up. So that was one of the highlights for Jackson. For the Bartlett office, they are celebrating a young man's first year anniversary that they took in from the ECF Choices waiver. So that is a huge accomplishment. And as we kind of mentioned earlier, they've now stepped up and are on a couple of boards that are dealing with and addressing the homeless situations up in the Shelby County areas. So, you know, kudos to both those offices. In the Martin and Paris location, again, we've experienced some success as well. We had a young man, Mr. Donald Boone, at age 61, took ownership of his first home. He moved into his first residency, and he's a very proud, individual of his home. When you come there, he's happy to show it off. He had great family support. This is just another transition in his life, even though it may be occurring at a little later point in age. He's still enjoying everything that he possibly could be given at that point in time. We're also growing the programs in all the areas. In Martin, we've taken in roughly 10 new individuals since probably the last 3 months, and we've got probably 4 more on the horizon to come in from the ECF Choices waiver. We just picked up another individual from the DID service waiver. A couple of highlights for something coming up in February. We actually have 2 videos that are going to be coming out from different entities within the state of Tennessee that are focused and spotlight on employment. One of those videos is going to be the first video that TennCare has done in the state, and they selected an individual that we represent, and they are going to put that out. I believe that video is going to come out around February 13th or 14th, right about around the Valentine's Day to release that. And we also have one that was being done from the Council on Developmental Disabilities out of Nashville that focused on Mr. Danny Simmons and his work at Tennessee Tractor, and his work has resonated immensely to the other states or the other locations here within the state and has been able to open the door and get some other individuals employed in that regard. So in totality, that's probably, that's our third video in less than 4 months that we've done with multiple other publications, spotlighting and highlighting all the great efforts that's going on here in this state.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations on that. And then 30 more seconds with you. You had a personal highlight last year when you made a trip up to DC. Can you share a little bit about what that was for? And
I can.
It's a big deal.
It was a big deal for a rural country boy like me. I had the privilege and the honor to represent St. John's last year before the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives. We were asked to come up and present in regards to a competitive bill furthering the advancement of employment for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That has been the pinnacle of my career in this field. It was the highest and biggest stage I'd ever set foot on. It was a great experience, a great opportunity, and none of that would have been possible if it wasn't for the backing and teaching that St. John's has given me over my many years here with this organization.
Yeah, congratulations. So thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you. Just tremendous what's happening here, and I want to keep that going. So I'm going to ask Amanda Newell to come and join us here. Amanda is regional director here in Jackson and Trenton, and also you just took on a year ago Harlan Morris. So could you just take a couple of minutes and share a little bit about what is Harlan Morris and what happens there and who are we serving, how many, that kind of thing.
Well, a couple of years ago, we started talking with the board at Harlan Morris, which is a retirement community in Trenton, Tennessee. They had been running this retirement facility since the 1950s. And in the recent years, they were struggling financially. The census was low. And they were looking for someone to come in and assume the property and the organization and the business. They were looking for a nonprofit to come in and carry on the legacy of Harlan Morris and the mission of Harlan Morris. So a couple of years ago, we became in talks with them. We started talking with them. And last year in March, we were chosen. And in March, we went into a management agreement with them. So March of 2019. So we went in with them. We stepped foot on the property. We started learning the residents and the staff and just how the operation runs because we were not familiar with senior services at that time. And it's under a completely different department. It's under the Department of Health. It is licensed as a residential home for the aged. So if you are familiar with assisted living facilities, it's kind of one step below assisted living because we don't offer like medical personnel and the nursing staff on duty. So it is a retirement facility. So in March of last year, we went and started managing the property. May 1st, we officially took over. We officially assumed the property. It's a beautiful setting in a rural town, a very small town. It's
probably about 5 or 6 acres,
it's
right?
13 acres.
13 acres.
It backs up to the city park, tennis courts, and it's just a beautiful setting. We've got all kinds of wildlife, and you see deer and squirrels, and you name it. And the residents love sitting on the porch and swinging, and we're going to figure out how to do a garden. But the squirrels, I've heard that they kind of overtake that, so we're going to figure that out one day.
And it's probably about 10 to 15,000 square feet, I would say safely.
At least
in that range. Because I think we can handle about 39 people, right? If I remember, 40 people total.
Correct.
How many do we have now?
Well, when we started last March, there were 17 people that lived there. The census had actually gotten down as low as 13. So there were 17 when we came on board. We got several residents, and our highest number has been 28. Unfortunately, due to some sad circumstances and needs have changed and stuff like that, we are at around 24 right now. But we do have a waiting list because since we've taken over and assumed this property and this organization, we've had to make repairs and changes to just how Harlan Morris as a whole runs. The building needed some repairs and renovations, upgrades, updating. And so we do have a lot of rooms that are empty due to some repairs that are being done. But we do have a waiting list with some people that are looking or waiting for those rooms, that are waiting for some rooms. So we continue to progress. And like I said, our highest has been 28 and it hasn't even been a year yet. So
it's pretty amazing to watch. And it's such a sense of community, the men and women that live there. And I've been there a few times now. We see visitors and family members coming in. I think it was one of the events last fall or, there's some sort of either prom or
There was.
formal that was happening, and a granddaughter stopped in with her date and took pictures with her grandparents. And it's just really a cool thing to be involved with. Again, we're helping people that need support in that community who happen to be elderly live their best life. Right? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to advance that mission in that community, in the surrounding counties. So it's allowed us to get involved in the community in a different way and get our name out in a different way.
Yeah.
And we're doing well on our plan. So when we took it over, we knew there were repairs to be done. We knew it would be a while before we could build up the census. But Amanda's done a phenomenal job getting us there and growing the program, getting our name out there. So I believe that the next 3 years are going to be some of Harlan Morris's best days
I
that they've
believe so.
had
I
in
believe
this
so.
century for sure.
I
So
believe so. And
we're
and
excited.
we have to do a shout out to the staff that at Harlan Morris
Yeah.
and the town of Trenton, because a majority of the staff at Harlan Morris, we have hired a few new ones, but a majority of the staff have been there several years. We went into this, senior services not knowing much about
Sure.
retirement
Yeah.
facilities, and so they have helped along the way. So shout out to the Harlan Morris staff who have been there and stuck through the transition of St.
Yeah,
John's
for
taking
sure.
over, and because they were apprehensive, obviously a new company coming in, a lot of changes were made, and the town of Trenton has also been, they have just been so welcoming.
Yeah.
The newspaper is always there doing articles, and every time I run into an adult in Trenton, they've always got a story about Harlan Morris, about going there as a kid, stealing ice cream off the back porch, or visiting their grandparents, or you name it. Everybody, it's such a small knit community that everybody has a story about Harlan Morris, and it is a legacy. And I think that that's why the board chose us to take it over, because I think they were pretty confident that we would carry on the mission and the legacy of Harlan Morris, because it's so important to the Trenton community.
Even the mayor, he came out to the ribbon cutting and he shared a story about his mom having lived at Harlan Morris. And he literally broke down when he was sharing the story, just the impact that Harlan Morris had on her life and on their family. So we are continuing a tremendous legacy. And thank you so very much for taking this on and plunging in. Senior services is something that, as we continue to learn, we hope to grow in other parts of our operation around St. John's. So this is one of the reasons that we get involved in mergers and acquisitions and take on new initiatives, is so that we can continually progress and grow as an organization, build up other core competencies, and then possibly bring those to other locations.
Right.
Totally.
Used to people would, keep people at home or nursing homes, but now they kind of go through that transitional care where it's residential home for the aged or assisted living. And so it's just a lovely community. So if you're ever in Tennessee,
Yeah.
please come by. So
That's right.
we'll
Awesome.
feed you some good home cooking.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Amanda. Thank you. And next up, I would like to ask Ryan if you could come up. One of the things that's happening here in Tennessee that's very exciting is we are involved in an enabling technology initiative with the state of Tennessee. And as you know, particularly in DC, we've really embraced enabling technology and how we can help people live their best life. But this initiative has really helped push us here in Tennessee and grow our expertise and learning there, right, Ryan? And you've been very involved in this. And I think we were going to have Precious call in potentially. Is she able to do that? Are we able to do that? Precious Myers Brown is a member of our leadership team. She's our Chief Innovation Officer and the State Director of DC. And Marilyn, she's been very involved in coming down to Tennessee and working with Ryan, working with regional directors, working within the ET initiative to try to help us improve and grow our opportunities for the people that we support here. We're seeing right now, Precious, if we can get your audio on. Hold on 1 second. Oh, I think you might be muted, Precious. Okay, try now. How are you doing, Precious? Okay, hold on 1 second. Is the volume on our TV up? I think we, oh, it's on. Okay. Okay, we're having some technical issues getting Precious on the line. Ryan, why don't you let us know a little bit about Enabling Technology Initiative here and what that practically looks like?
Okay, well, we're in our second year now of the Enabling Technology Initiative, and St. John's, our agency in the state of Tennessee, was chosen as one of the agencies to pilot the initiative. So, am I getting some feedback?
Sorry.
Good. Okay.
All right, good.
So we've been in the initiative for about 2 years now. It's growing. working through some bugs and everything like that over the last couple of years. We're serving up to 9 individuals at all 4 of our locations.
Okay.
That are in various different stages of enabling technology. Some have already got it implemented within their lives. In our Bartlett location, we're just getting back on into the initiative ourselves, and we're looking at opening up a smart home with 3 ladies that will be using enabling technology. Very, very powerful, very, very powerful. It is the future of what we're doing. And it's kind of ironic and a coincidence that we're using technology right now.
Not a coincidence. It's very intentional. It's
Right?
very intentional.
To feed off this meeting. It's so powerful. And it's going to be a big part of the future of what we do.
Can you give a couple of examples of actual tools that we're using from an enabling technology standpoint with some of the individuals?
Yes. So for instance, and what helped me with regards to that has been the leadership of Precious. Precious had directed me to speak with Carl out in DC, and he gave me some ideas and some examples of what some successes and obviously some barriers of what they're doing. So out in DC, I guess about 20% of the supports can be done remotely, audio and video, through audio and video. They serve a wonderful woman who has a son, that is now empowered through technology to take care of her son more efficiently, and become a better and a stronger parent. There's some above and beyond technology examples to where somebody who suffers with a diagnosis of seizures wears a watch, and a watch that tracks neurological issues and precursors that where the technology can intervene and alert staff
Awesome.
to support and come in. Yeah.
And I think we might have Precious on the line. All right, so let's see if we're successful here.
Yeah.
All right, Precious, welcome. Can you hear us? And do you have anything you would add to Ryan's comments?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome.
Okay, great. So thank you so much. And Ryan, thank you. Ryan has been, I just want to say, a tremendous help and support in pushing the enabling technology. He is truly a tech champion, and I identify him as my technology enhancing coach, our other tech over in the Tennessee location, and he has been phenomenal with pulling the team together, really taking those visions and making it a reality, and also helping to support everyone that wants to participate in enabling technology, as well as to embrace the culture of enabling technology. A number of things that we implemented, of course, is making sure that training is happening as people step into the doors of St. John, and that people are in staff that we support are initially engaged in understanding what enabling technology can do for the people we support, as well as for the staff and the senior members that are involved in those circles of support. So I'm really proud of the movement in Tennessee, and I'm really proud of what we're doing as an agency and our brand in helping people to find alternative or different or more innovative ways to meet their personal outcomes and goals. And the team in Tennessee has been doing a phenomenal job. We've gotten great feedback and responses from our funders and oversight agencies that are really trying to push these initiatives and make this to be a success and a reality for people with disabilities in IDD. Of course, that technology doesn't just land on IDD services, but it's really for everyone. So we anticipate and look forward to opportunities where we'll be providing support to people utilizing technology, whether it be clinical services, medical services, within our homeless services, and of course within our retirement community. There are so many ways that technology can bridge the gap between all of those services and between the community and the people that we are supporting. So I just wanted to just shout out the Tennessee team because they really embraced it, and for Ryan's leadership and making sure that this what we envision is our reality. And we look forward to a great future.
Cool. Thank you, Precious. I totally agree. I think that we are just starting to scratch the surface. We've got folks working in different locations that have really are championing this effort with enabling technology, and we're only going to press into this more and more. And we are going to continue to grow it, not just here in Tennessee in the district, but throughout all of our services at St. John's. This is one of the reasons that we're doing this broadcast, actually, because we want, as an organization, to embrace technology. We realize that it can have benefits that otherwise wouldn't happen. You know, to go to 6 different locations and an employee meeting would be incredibly inefficient. Using technology, we're able to connect with other people, record this, and then put it up for those that couldn't be with us today. So that's just one small example, but we're going to embrace technology as an organization and continue to grow and lead the way in the field. Also, just so you know, if you go to our social media, St. John's Community Services, I think you'll probably be able to find a video on Gerald, who is a person here in Tennessee that is supported by our team at St. John's, who is highlighted by the state of Tennessee, and they did a great video on him and the work that the team here has done in supporting him with technology. So look for that. It's just one example of how we are leveraging technology. So thank you so much, Ron. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good job. Okay, so I just mentioned social media, so I want to just touch on that briefly. We continue to grow our social media platforms. I'm going to ask Sandra White to come on up and just tell you how you can get involved with social media. Of course, Sandra simultaneously is handling all of our YouTube channel right now, broadcasting that, commenting back to people that are chatting with her. So Sandra, come on up here, and if you can go on up. So.
Hello.
So just a couple of things. There's been a big effort with branding over the last 6 months, and some of the things you should look for moving forward this year will be things like business cards, probably collateral materials on the different programs, you know, printed materials on the different programs. So I know we've gone without some of those things for a little while now. Part of that is just the backlog of work that was all connected with social media, as well as just launching the brand and the special events. So in 2020, the team will be able to look for those things to be happening, as well as physical signage at different locations. We'll be rolling that out. So more to come on that with our new logo, new mission statement, all that stuff. But anything you would want to highlight for people relative to social media here at St. John's?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Okay, so actually, we have actually been reaching out to the different directors in every state. I mean, me and Ryan have been working together collaboratively to get some different stories, some new material, some new photos, so we can share our mission that we know we want our people to live their best life. We also want to highlight some of you great staff. So also we want you to know, please go to our social media pages, whether it's Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Twitter, you have you have LinkedIn that gives different information about the positions that we have open with this great organization, actually. So we want you to know, too, that this actually helps us to highlight different events. You want to stay up to date on all the new things that are going on, all these great things that the directors have talked about on today. Those things can be shared, and they will be shared on the social media sites. So we want you to help us build this brand and get that mission statement out there, because you are the brand, and we want you to remember that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Everyone that works at St. John's, volunteers, is associated with St. John's, is part of the St. John's brand. You are an ambassador. And so we want to maximize that, and we want to have people out there sharing the story. So like, share, follow, everything you've got to do with social media. Be part of telling the amazing story of St. John's. So, and if you have ideas for stories, something that's happened, please send them to Sandra. And Sandra, just remind us of what your email is.
Okay, so my email for every state, Virginia, Delaware, DC, and of course, Tennessee, is swhite@sjcs.org, or you can reach Ryan K. I don't know if you want to give a shout out in here, but Ryan K, that we are working together to help us expand this mission and this vision for this great organization.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're going to attempt to bring some folks in from the phone again. We want to touch on some things relative to human resources. This year, you're going to see a big push on various things to do with recruitment or improvements with recruitment strategy, as well as retention. We love you as our employees. We want you to know that we love you as our employees, and you're part of our team. And we want to make sure that you see St. John's as a place that you want to stay and build your career at, because we certainly see that for you. We realize that there's a lot of work to do towards that end. And so we are going to do our best to communicate more. We want to look at our compensation packages wherever we can. And over the course of the year, we're going to be rolling out different initiatives that try to bolster our HR effort and try to be the best we can by those that work so hard for St. John's in supporting the people that we care about. So to speak a little bit about things that are available to you from an HR standpoint, I believe we have our Director of HR, Christiana Wilson, on the phone. Let's just see if we can pull her in. Christiana, are you on?
Can you all hear me?
Yep, she's 202. Yeah. Yes, we can hear you. How are you doing today, Christiana?
Can you all hear me? Because I can't hear you, but I don't want to be feedback.
Give her the thumbs up.
Okay, we can hear you.
Put a finger up again. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to others. My name is Christiana, pronounced.
Christiana.
And I hope, are helpful reminders for you. For those who participate in our medical plan, we encourage you to take advantage of preventive benefits that are at no cost to you. Some things that include preventive benefits are screening for blood pressure, cholesterol, tuberculosis, tobacco use and tobacco cessation programs, type 2 diabetes, and also various types of cancer screening. This is, again, only for those enrolled in our medical plan. You also have the opportunity to access virtual 24/7 care through MD Live, who is a partner of the CareFirst administrators. You can virtually get treatment and prescriptions for illnesses like pink eye, rashes, sore throats, that's right, respiratory problems, the flu, acne, and many others. You can access this information through the CareFirst administrator's website by first registering on their portal and then getting the information to log in to MD Live. Another benefit we like to highlight that all staff can take advantage of, whether or not you're part of the medical plan, is our employee assistance program offered through UNUM. UNUM provides professional support for everyday matters of life, including coping with anxiety, anger, depression, grief, job relocation, child and elder care support, legal assistance for help with wills, landlord and tenant agreements, and power of attorney, amongst other things. Also, the Employee Assistance Program provides help with the new 2020 federal tax W-4 form. So for those who make changes to their taxes occasionally, you can make changes at any time. This is done through ADP, as everyone should know. And only if you're making changes, you have to use the new 2020 W-4. ADP will walk you through the new form, but it's very different. There are no more allowances. You do have to do a formula to come up with the amount that you expect to have contributed towards your taxes for 2020. And no one at St. John's can help you with your tax form, unfortunately. So you can either use the IRS website calculator and ADP will redirect you, or you can also use the Employee Assistance Program. And they assist with frequently asked questions and answers on the new W-4. And this is just a segue into ADP. Everyone, please be reminded to keep all of your contact information updated in the event that we need to reach out to you for whatever reason. So make sure that your beneficiary information for your life insurance, for your disability plans, as well as your phone numbers, your cell phones, your email addresses, all of that is updated and current in ADP. Finally, last reminder that we do offer a referral incentive for any staff member who recommends a new hire who completes the introductory period. If you have any questions about If you have any questions about anything that I've shared during this portion of the call, you can reach out to either me or Renita via email, or shoot a text or a call. And that's it for me.
Awesome. Thank you, Christiana. That is great. So the kind of just summarizing that, we want to make sure that you're taking advantage of your benefits. And so if you're on the benefits plan, there's a bunch of free things that are all based around preventative and keeping you healthy. And we want to make sure that you know about that. So you can find out more information about what you're eligible for. I do want to stress the Employee Assistance Program is also free for all employees, and it's an amazing program. So please, if you're going through a stressful time, if you need some legal assistance of any kind, know that the Employee Assistance Program is there for you and it's free. And I'll make sure that Christiana and the team will send out kind of a summary as well by email, and we'll post it on TheraP so that you can have that information after the meeting and be able to utilize those benefits as well as the Employee Assistance Program. Want to take an opportunity and do a couple shout outs. We have an amazing team in all of the different states and service lines. And we want to make sure that we're highlighting those efforts of people that are really making a difference where they're serving. And so I think what we're going to do is have Roy from New York. He's on the line. So Roy, if you can go off mute, and then if you can go ahead and share who you would like to highlight and why.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Thumbs up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hi, Roy. Calling from Ithaca, New York. I'm the program director of the Shelter Center. And today I would like to, very pleased actually to recognize Kate Lowe. Kate Lowe has been with St. John's Community Services in Ithaca since the start. In fact, she was I worked at the shelter prior to St. John's taking over. Kate is the case manager who is responsible for placing clients in the appropriate shelter setting. Kate is also the primary liaison with the Department of Social Services. Now, at the homeless shelter, we work with many people that include parolees, sex offenders, those dealing with severe mental health issues, substance abuse issues, those fleeing domestic violence situations, among others. And Kate makes sure that all our clients, regardless of circumstance, have a safe, warm place to sleep each night. She does so with love, care, and compassion while maintaining appropriate boundaries. Kate runs the art therapy class twice a week. She's also involved with coordinating art options in the Ithaca office. In Ithaca, we have a dental outreach program which goes out into outside encampments in the wintertime, and Kate goes with a team of people and tries to coax folks in what we call the jungle into shelter and make sure that they're safe and have all the appropriate warm clothing that they need. She works tirelessly as an advocate for all of our clients. She loves her job, as difficult as it is. We're very fortunate to have Kate working for all of us here and all of the clients. Kate, we love you and thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate that. Thank you, Roy, and thank you, Kate, for the hard work that you're doing in Ithaca, New York, and for representing us so well. Here in Tennessee, we want to highlight someone, and I believe that Dwayne was going to come up and share who it is and why we're highlighting them.
Thank you. I have the privilege and honor to recognize a gentleman that has been in this field and been with the company in Martin back when it was CDS and then the transition through to St. John's. That is the epitome of any employee that you would want. He is a constant go-to for anything in need. Doesn't matter if it's in his department, outside of his department. He is loved and cherished by the individuals. He is loved and cherished by all the staff that work with him day in and day out. He's a gentle giant. And the gentleman that I'm referencing is Mr. Josh Magnus. He's been with our company been in this field for 25 years, and he has grown immensely since he started at a very young age. And I've had the privilege to watch him grow and develop over the years. He went through every bit of transformation that we have gone through from the very start, from moving from segregated settings of sheltered workshops to moving into fully 100% integrated services in the community, to assisting with employment. He's been there. He's never wavered on the service to the individuals. And I could not do what I do day in and day out without the loyalty and the dedication that he has for this agency, and to make the programs that he oversees and operates live up to the highest, fullest potential that they possibly can. So it is with great honor and privilege that I give a shout out and a spotlight to my right-hand man, Mr. Josh Magnus, and tell him thank you personally and from the organization for everything that he does, because he is one in a million.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank you for, again, being such an amazing ambassador for St. John's Community Services. And I hope to actually meet you. We were going to go to Paris, and we actually found out that we wouldn't be able to connect with Josh because he was off supporting an individual in employment. So doing his job faithfully, we just really, really appreciate that. So, and that kind of brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. I just want to say thank you to all of you. First, for the work that you do tirelessly, totally selflessly in support of so many amazing people across the states that we serve. We are St. John's because of you. And we just thank you so much. The people that are supported are in a better place and are closer to living their best life, or experiencing their best life because of your efforts and your compassion and love for them. So I want to thank you so much for doing that on a day in, day out basis. Know that we care about you. We want to be the best place we possibly can for you to work at, and to have a balance in your life with your family, with your loved ones, and with your work. So we hope that over the coming year that you'll see improvements in that area, that you'll feel the care and the concern that we have for you, and that we'll continue to build our relationship closer and stronger. So I want to thank you for that. And I also want to thank you for tuning in today and being part of this. We are getting better at this. We're going to continue to improve, or we'll continue to overcome kind of technical difficulties, but it's part of us learning. It's part of us growing. And I want to say thank you to Sandra for pulling this together, and thank you to Ryan for pulling this together as well. And thank you to the Jackson office today for supporting us and for being here in person. Appreciate that very much for your hospitality. So thank you all, and we look forward to doing this again in a few months. Thanks. That's right. All right.
Thank goodness. Yeah. Good job, y'all.